In this video, I will show you how to cut and install an Ikea laminate countertop. This is my first time doing a countertop, and you get to learn from all my rookie mistakes that the other videos won't show you, which is why I made them in the first place. Step 1 is to put your countertop on a workbench to cut it. The most practical thing to do instead of putting it on a normal table is to place it on top of 2 or more center blocks, because it is very heavy to lift, and it is also easier to cut this way if you use a jig saw, because I ended up having to use my body weight to keep the saw moving since the countertop is so thick. Once you place it on your work surface, make sure to note which side of the countertop is the front and which side is the back in case they are different. The best thing to do is to make sure that the side that you cut will be against the wall instead of the exposed side in case the cuts don't turn out perfectly. The next step is to measure your space and decide how long your countertop will be. I decided to make it hang over the edge of the side of my cabinet just a little bit in order to leave room for the filler strips, because with Ikea cabinets, you are supposed to place filler pieces on the sides of your cabinets in the finish that you chose, because the frame of the cabinets is white all around except for the doors and drawers, although you can just paint the sides and not add that extra layer if you don't have the space, especially if they are up against another appliance such as a stove. Once you decide on the length and mark a line on your countertop, place a masking tape or painter's tape over top of that line to make for a cleaner cut as the instructions say, and then mark your measurement again over top of the tape. It's a good idea to use a clamp edge saw guide to ensure that you get a straight cut. The one that I bought from Amazon is not the best. It does not guarantee a 90-degree angle when you clip it in place, and it does not stay in place that well, so you really need to hold it down. During my first cut, I did not notice that the guide and the saw were slowly moving to the left because it was dark and my goggles were getting foggy, and I strayed from the line a few millimeters, resulting in a very ugly cut. The bad thing about a jigsaw blade is that it is flexible, so when cutting a thick block like this one, the cut may be a little wavy, as you can see. I used these carbide blades that were recommended by another video, although I ended up switching to longer ones with fewer teeth to make cutting a little easier and to fix that first cut. As you can see, this turned out very ugly and uneven, but if you place that end against the wall, you can cover the imperfections with a backsplash panel, which I will show as well. If one of your cut edges will be exposed, Ikea provides strips to glue onto the edges that are exposed using contact cement, although this wobbly, uneven cut will look terrible with that glued onto it. The other rookie mistake I made was kind of intentional, not paying attention to the uneven walls that I have. You are supposed to use a process called scribing to stencil the curve of your adjacent walls in case they are uneven. I did not feel like doing this, however, knowing that I'm going to put a backsplash panel on the edges of my countertop against the wall where I made the cut. Ikea does not sell any countertops with the backsplash panel already integrated, which is probably a good thing since this results in more room for errors in case of uneven walls or uneven cuts. To make a backsplash panel, I searched online for the cheapest panel I could find, which was from Lowe's, a product called Stretta, which is $35 for a 120-inch piece. Although you can buy an unfinished piece of particle board at a hardware store for a third of the price. My plan is to do an epoxy finish on these countertops as well as the backsplash panel, so it's okay that it's not matching. Stay tuned for my video for that in the future. And now some more advice about attaching the Ikea countertop to the Ikea base cabinets, which is quite easy because the base cabinets have a rail that includes holes for screws to drill right into the countertop. You just need to drill pilot holes using a 1/8 inch drill bit at a depth of 3/8 inches, as you can see in the instructions. The screws that they tell you to use, however, are not labeled nor included. You don't need to use any glue to attach your countertop, and you're better off not using it, because if and when you want to replace your countertop, you won't need to deal with scraping it off and also trying to pry off the countertop itself. And if you don't finish this countertop with something like epoxy, it will surely show wear and tear soon, as it is a cheap product, at least the one that I bought. Next, they show you in the instructions to put a diffusion barrier above any built-in oven or dishwasher to protect against heat and moisture, and they use the word fixa in the instructions. But if you search for fixa on their website, you will find metal brackets that are used to provide extra support for your countertops, not sticky plastic liners. If you search for a diffusion barrier, however, on the Ikea website, you will find a moisture barrier that is a clear plastic strip, but is not a sheet of plastic that folds like you see in the picture. I asked ChatGPT and it confirmed that there is indeed some confusion about this terminology. So I plan to buy and install that strip above the dishwasher in the future. Stay tuned for my video about how to build a dishwasher cabinet. Next, they tell you to put silicone inside the cutout for your sink. I decided to buy some wood hardener and infuse the wood with that first, since silicone caulk does not actually penetrate the wood, it just creates a waterproof barrier on the surface. I used this wood hardener from Amazon on my backsplash panels as well, in case they absorb water sitting on the countertop. As you can see, I also applied this wood filler on the inside of the countertop where I cut a hole to place my sink. Stay tuned for my video about cutting out and installing a kitchen sink next. 24 hours later, I applied the silicone caulk to all my cut edges, as well as around the hole for the sink, but now I realize this may have been a mistake to put the silicone on the ends, or you want to glue the end strips or even apply epoxy, as in my case. And they only tell you instructions to put it around your sink cutout. Oops. And now here is my hack for lifting up the countertop off the ground, which is very heavy. Place it inside the grooves between your legs and torso, and rotate the countertop upward and slide it onto the cabinets using your leg strength to lift it upwards. But be careful, however, not to lift it before making any cuts, because when it is whole, it is very heavy, and I ended up just dragging it around. Hope this video was helpful, and stay tuned for my next videos about applying the epoxy finish to the countertop and backsplash panels, as well as installing the kitchen sink. That's all for now, but make sure to comment, follow, share, and click on the Amazon links in the comments and/or description to help me support my channel.